Please, for a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tony, would you do the attendance and roll call, please?
Mr. Bonomo? Here. Mr. Chapman?
Here.
Mr. Fume?
Here.
Mrs. Kay?
Here.
Mr. John?
Present.
Mr. Mahalik?
Here.
Mr. O'Donnell? Mrs. Garcella?
Here.
And Mr. Zola?
Here. I'd like to announce the executive sessions as follows. August 3rd of 2017, negotiation updates, superintendent position discussions, teacher candidates, and acquisition of property. August 15th, 2017, superintendent positions and personnel. August 17th, 2017, personnel and negotiations. Public announcements and recognitions.
We do not have any this evening, Mr. Zoll.
I think I would like to just make mention of the work of a couple of our maintenance people, if you don't mind, and also some donations of school supplies from a Judith Hall. Mrs. Hall, are you out here in the audience? It's my understanding that Judith Hall donated a number of backpacks and supplies in those backpacks to our school district, and we'd like to extend our appreciation for that. Thank you. I'd also like to just mention a few of our employees here. Randy Tabasco, are you here, Randy? You want to stand up? Corey, you want to stand up? Why are we recognizing these two gentlemen? Well, this summer we had our stadium on Cedar Street. Someone ran into the pillars that we just had erected not long ago and did a considerable amount of damage. They're brick block pillars, and they have a veneer of a special stone on the front of them, and it was a hit and run. The district ended up with the loss here. We got prices from a few contractors. The cheapest price was $8,500 to repair the work on this pillar. We talked to Andre, and he went to Randy and Corey, and tonight I'm happy they finished the work. It looks fantastic. I know a number of board members went down, took a look at it, and you did a great job on it. It looks better than it did before. And the entire cost, including their wages, ended up coming to about $958.50. So from $8,500 to a little under $1,000. We appreciate, because you didn't have to do it. I know you're getting ready to get your schools open, and you didn't let that get by either. So thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Okay, public comment directed on board agenda items only. Mr. Mahalik.
Yes, Joe Stanavich from Hazleton. He's going to speak on the whole agenda. Go ahead, Mr. Stanton.
Well, Joe, if it has to do with an agenda item, it's now. If it's just something in general, you wait till the end.
Okay, we'll let you wait to the end. Antonio Rodriguez. we will. From Hazleton, Mr. Rodriguez would like to speak on items number 25, 29, 30, and number 15.
My name is Antonio Rodriguez. Is this thing on? Hello? Is it all right? Oh, now it is. My name is Antonio Rodriguez from Hazleton. I need to remind you that when I speak at public meetings, I speak for myself. I do not represent anybody. I do not represent anyone. I speak for myself, and nobody speaks for me. I am independent. Nobody speaks for me. And I don't speak for anyone. Let's make that clear. So if I get in trouble, I am alone. I usually do get in trouble for some things that I say. I wish to speak on items number 25, 29, and 30. And then besides that, number 15, 25, 29, and 30. What do you understand? Can you explain what do you mean when you say bilingual liaison? Am I saying that right? Liaison or liaison?
Liaison. Yep.
Liaison. Bilingual liaison.
Are you asking what do we mean
I'm
by that?
asking anyone who could answer this question.
Patty, Ms. Galloway, could you respond to that, please?
Bilingual liaison is a person who is bilingual English and Spanish.
Oh, okay. That's the answer to that. English and Spanish, right? By bilingual, you mean English and Spanish, right? Because I understand bilingual means two. Let's make that clear. Now, you are hiring 3 new employees, which will be hired as bilingual liaison. Besides those 3, you also have others. You have Mr. Silva. You have a couple of them at the high school, Rivers, Carlos Rivers, and I think you have at least 10 throughout the district. And I agree, we do need them. What we do not need is any more of that paper that I was talking about, that I have been speaking about for the last 3 months. Stop the contract with that paper. Since you have so many bilingual liaisons and you have so many students who speak English very well, thanks to the district, students who never spoke a word of English are now becoming bilingual themselves. And I am proud of that. Many of those students, mainly at the high school, already speak both languages. And more parents are learning English. More parents are learning English. More parents are becoming bilingual themselves, thanks to the Hazleton integrated project. Concerned parents, many more are learning English. So it is high time that you stop that babysitting on the newspaper. Those $3,600 you're spending on that newspaper a year, give that to the full-day kindergarten. Save that money, give it to the full-day kindergarten. Stop the babysitting, please.
Antonio, thank you for your comments. We appreciate that.
Now, my comment on that item number 15, that's all right, don't worry about that. I pay
We are
taxes.
worried about it, Antonio.
Mr. Chair,
Come on.
Mr. Vice
You got a
Chair,
minute here?
I
Let's
also
finish
pay my
up, please.
taxes. Only one question about this. I'm reading, that looks good. Number 15, I just want to know what is PAYS? The meaning of PAYS.
Pennsylvania Youth Survey.
What are we talking about?
They are collecting information if the board approves it, Antonio. They're collecting information about youth riskful activities such as drugs, alcohol.
Thank you, Dr. Butler.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you.
Mr. Vice President, no other speakers for now?
Thank you. Make a motion to approve the board minute meetings.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
I'm going to make the motion accept the treasurer's report for July 2017.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of approving the treasurer's report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you. Let's move on to curriculum and instruction. Approve items 1 through 16 with one motion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. So we'll approve items 1 through 16, curriculum instruction with one motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a question on number 15. The state just reduced the number of days for testing for PSSAs because it was taking too much time away from the educational component. Dr. Butler, do you feel in this situation, this would be one of the situations?
Mr. John, my experience with the PACE survey is that the information that we retrieve or that we are given or we retrieve from that survey is valuable information for the district relative to our counseling staff, our interactions with communities that care organization, and for the amount of time that it takes, which for a non-limited English speaker, in my observation, the last time we gave it was roughly 45 to 50 minutes. I think it is time well spent, Mr. John, and as a former school administrator, Mr. John, I also highly value instructional time, and I would not recommend this if I felt it was doing a disservice to our teachers and lost instructional time.
Do you feel that the survey is answered honestly? Do you think the kids are doing what they should be doing, or are they playing games?
Again, from my observation, and I visited several sixth grade classrooms the last time we gave it because I could not get everywhere, obviously. The kids took it very seriously, Mr. John. And while there may have been a student or two, and Mr. Cree talked about the reliability of the instrument, there may be a student, as you all know, or two here and there that would otherwise just fill in the bubbles. But I observed, Mr. John, not only students taking it seriously, but the teachers monitoring them so that they didn't just fill in the bubbles.
Mr. Mahalik, do you do this up in Carbondale?
Yes, sir, we are going to do it as well. And Mr. John, you bring up some very valid points. It's a lengthy survey. The questions are even lengthy. I think what you'll get out of it is good. I think, the reliability is proven, but I think your points are well taken. I wish they would shorten it because it is very long. Some of the questions seem to be repetitive. And again, I'm not questioning, but I do see probably after a while kids, especially if you have any attention issues, I would see you not being able to get through that whole thing and answering it, exactly the way you probably should.
If I may presume to help with that question, the reason, and you're absolutely certain amount of redundancy that is built into the survey itself, because redundancy is one of the points that proves if a student is claiming familiarity with some kind of behavior, a drug behavior, says, I smoke a pack of cigarettes a year, when you ask it a second time and a third time, that creates the validity through which the state evaluates all of these services. So I think without that redundancy built in, the surveys themselves might end up less valid and not as much.
Are there, Mr. Patron, can these students opt out?
Yes.
And what do you do with these other children? I know if they're going to opt out of, are you going to do this by homeroom, I would assume? Well, I guess my question I want to ask you, Rocky, is the fact that when these kids are doing this, you're going to have to be moving them back and forth, all different rooms and everything else? Okay, and then the 11th graders, they're just going to stay in our, well, they're not in a pure room then either. So you have to move the whole building, more or less. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I expressed some of the same concerns when it came up last time. I asked whether or not we had a plan of action to institute the test. There really was none at that time. It was going to be left up to the principals. I don't believe that's changed. And that's a big part of my concern as well. What do we do with the students that opt out? What do we do with the students that should be in the classroom but now are being changed from one to another? And then we get into the 6th grade students and 8th grade students, and it's the same thing. They're going to have to be jostled all around. So now a 50-minute test turns out to be an hour and a half, maybe longer by the time we move everyone around, get them settled, get them in. With all that goes on in our classrooms, it would have to have a bigger payoff for me.
Mr. Zola, let me try to address that. The number of students that opted out the last time, 2 years ago, when the test was administered, was very small. Not large enough that it would cause any major shift, and I think this would be seconded by Dr. Butler and Dr. It didn't cause any major shift. There was only a handful of students that opted out. So there was not a question of shifting the alternate grades whatsoever. You can take the number in a building and put them into a single classroom. And as far as the value, what you get out of it, right now, the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency, the CTC on a state level, are using this survey exclusively for all grants that can help the school district with supplemental education programs. The latest one to come down the line, and there seems like a funding stream available right now for alternative programs to out-of-school suspensions, things that would not cost the district a nickel. And so when you look at the relative short amount of time that your students are being shifted, and it is only a handful of students, and yet the benefits really could be quite large. So that's, I just want to put that into perspective, and it is by far and away, almost every district in the state at this point is participating. It allows you to compare the students from Hazleton area with the students from a county level, state level as well. So the information is really quite valuable, and I believe because we've already done the base level, we're 2 years in now, so we have comparative data. Comparative data is exactly what funding institutions and foundations are looking for. We all know that the school district is strapped for cash. I don't want to come up here and say, hey, I got a great program and it's going to cost $250,000, because I don't think that might be the best way for you guys to spend money. But if we can find supplemental ways to pay for this and coordinate our efforts with the district, with the educators, I think we're all going to be a heck of a lot.
And we appreciate the director's concern about the opt-out students. I have since spoken to Mr. Patron. We do have a plan for the high school opt-outers, and Mr. Donati has also spoken with the elementary middle administrators. So,
What is that plan?
for the high school, Mr. Patron, you're here. You can.
Well, what I would do is I would look into the English, mostly 10. They opted out, and there's enough opted out in this classroom, in that classroom. I would take those that are opting out. So I would those two rooms that. Block is 90 minutes in length. I believe the test is 45 to 50 minutes in length. I do think it's going to take up the entire block. I would do prior to the both things at the same time. Yeah, who's opting out and testing? The test rolls around. You'd have to move things around.
Mr. Donati, the 6th and 8th graders.
Sixth grade would be easy because they're more self-contained and they have a larger block like the high school. If it's done during the reading class, periods there where it could be done easily, where they, as Mr. Patron said, we would almost have to go to our schedule, almost like a 2-hour delay, our testing schedule to get the limited movement of the classroom for students.
Thank you.
Rocky, would you do this the first period in the morning? Well, if I remember correctly, in the past, when we used to do something first period in the morning, the kids don't want to do it. They'd go to breakfast at McDonald's. And I think we used to call the restaurants and tell them to get rid of them, if I remember correctly. Not to let them in? You think, can you see that happening? Not to a big degree, but to a small degree. Yeah, okay. Rather you than me.
Any other comments, questions? Okay. Should we take a vote, please?
On 1 through 16, Mr. Bonomo? Yes. Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Fielm?
Yes.
Mrs. K?
Yes.
Mr. John?
Yes.
Mr. Mahalik?
Yes.
Mrs. Garcella?
Yes.
And Mr. Zola?
Yes.
Special education, ESL, and, oh, excuse me, Tony, did I precede your, did I interrupt?
No, we're good.
Okay. Special education, ESL, and alternative education, approving items 17 through 30 with one motion.
So moved.
Second. On the question number 22, Mr. Vice President, Mrs. Yanuzzi, and I definitely know we need this position. That price seems a little high. Would this social worker be working full-time? Four days a week. Where is she the fifth day? Oh, so it's $73,035.61 for 4 days a week. Right. So we could probably hire our own, pay less, and have the person 5 days a week. Would you have a need for somebody 5 days a week? I get that. I get that. It's just, on record, I think we'd be better hiring our own. We'd get more and pay less.
Bobby, will that work in with Peasers and all? How does that?
Well, yeah, I mean, we would have to take on the responsibility of that new employee, but it would still probably
Does it still come out cheaper?
still be less, and we get more. So that's $73,035 is for 4 days a week. That's almost what we're paying our top teacher. Not necessarily, but it's close. So you figure are social workers in our teacher contract, or are they in they're in our teacher contract? Right, but, so we have no social workers. Oh, okay.
Could they be part of the administrators bargaining unit?
I think if we have
I've seen them
they'd be
in
the teacher
Act 93.
Act 93?
Yes, I've seen them in Act 93.
Are you asking, are you gonna make a motion to?
No, because I think we're probably a little too late, Deb, right, to do this. I just think we should look at for next year, bringing these people on as our employees and probably get twice as much for. But you don't have the social worker, and for us to go out, we have to, I mean, again, I know there's qualified, experienced social workers out there, but I still think we'd be starting out, we'd be mid-September, end of September. So, I think we should just hold off till next year and maybe revisit this step.
So we have a motion and a second
Yep.
on
That's a lot
17
of money.
through 30.
Yes. Number 17 to 30, Mr. Bonomo? Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Fielm?
Yes.
Mrs. K?
Yes.
Mr. John?
Sure.
Mr. Mahalik?
Yes.
Mrs. Scarcella?
Yes.
And Mr. Zola?
Yes.
It's $500 a day.
Nutrition, approve items 31 through 34 with one motion.
So move.
Second.
Any questions? Numbers 31 to 34, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Transportation, approve items 35 through 37
So
with
moved.
one.
Second.
Any questions? 35 to 37, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Technology, number 38, recommend board approve the Hewlett-Packard annual.
moved.
Second.
Number 38, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Student activities, athletics, and extracurricular, approve items 39 through 42 with one motion.
So moved.
Are we doing a roll call on that?
We have a second?
Second.
Are we, yeah.
Any questions on 39 to 42?
No, but I do think we should do a roll call on individual roll call on number 41. The other ones, I don't think it matters.
I could do a roll on the whole group and just say if there's any no
Okay.
votes.
All right.
Mr. Bonomo, 39 to 42.
No on 41.
Mr. Chapman?
I'm a no on 41, but I would like to say something to Mary Pat. As we've talked a couple times, and I know you a long time, and I have a great deal of respect for you. Took all the information that you gave me and waited, and I got information from other people, including Mr. Barletta, and even listening to the board earlier. It's just something that I wouldn't be true to myself if I was to say yes to this, even though I'd like nothing better than to say yes to it for you. So my answer is no, but just so you understand the reason why.
Mr. Fume?
Yes.
Mrs. K?
No on 41.
Mr. John?
No on 41.
Mr. Mahalik?
Yes on 41. I certainly understand the other board members' no votes. I just, again, I had the opportunity the other evening to hear from the parent. We're not setting a precedent. This is not binding with any other sports. These students live in our district. They grew up in our district. They know our kids, and no kid gets a free ride. Those kids would have to try out. They would have to make the team if there is a tryout, like every other kid. So I absolutely support this, and I feel these kids and these parents deserve it. We talk about, we're always taking away. These parents also pay their taxes, and that's why I'm voting yes.
Mrs. Scarcella?
No on 41.
Mr. Zola?
No on 41.
Grouping passes except for 41 fails 6-2.
Facilities and capital,
After the meeting, ma'am.
facilities and capital projects, approve items 43 through 45. One
So
motion.
moved.
Second.
Any questions on 43 through 45? All in favor, 43 to 45, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Finance, approve items 40.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on 46 through 49? All in favor of 46 to 49, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Approve bills number 50.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of number 50, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm a no.
Ayes have it, noting Mr. Bonomo and Ms. Kay's no votes.
Superintendent's agenda, approve items 51.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on 51 through 57? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Approve items 58 through 68.
Second.
Any questions? Numbers 58 through 68, all in favor, say aye.
I'm a no on 68.
I'm a no on 68.
No on 68.
Ayes have it with 68, 5-3.
Security, item 69. Recommend board approve the hiring of Margaret Burzy as cafeteria.
So moved.
Second.
Number 69, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
70. Recommend board approve seasonal security officer Brian Osfeld.
So moved.
Second.
70, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
71.
So moved.
Need a second for 71?
Second.
If I may, is the chief here? I'm not sure. I didn't see the chief tonight. Very, very powerful speaker. I applaud the chief for seeking out and bringing this to our staff, our faculty. It will be a day they will never forget. Thank you, chief. That's all.
Thank you.
Number 71, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
And Mr. Zola, we have 2 additional motions.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Recommend board approve Dr. Butler's release date as Wednesday, August 30th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we need public comment on these because they weren't part of the agenda. Sure. So we'll start with the first one. Anyone, public comment? Okay.
On the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Ayes have it, noting Mr. Mahalik's no vote.
Recommend board approve Mr. George Donati, interim superintendent, until the arrival of Mr. Uplinger.
So moved.
Second.
Public comment?
Public comment?
There you
All right, we just got one.
Who let the dogs
Bobby,
out?
could you translate that, please? George, I think you have a
Oh,
little
man.
opposition out there. I'm not certain.
Only in America.
Mr. Uplinger's date, as far as we know, is projected to be September 15th. Any other public comment?
Right on cue. How about that?
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Was that a yes or a no?
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Comments from the public?
Can you, I'm sorry, for the minutes, so, or on the tape, we hear you at the mic, can you,
Please, thank you.
sorry.
Mary Pat Stroy again. I want to thank everybody who took the time to read the material I sent, to listen to me and to Mr. Barletta as well. I understand that you do have concerns, and I think from my perspective, your biggest concern is the fact that other schools will request this opportunity as well. So one thing I would ask the board to consider doing is to establish criteria around cooperating agreements. And if you were to establish the criteria, then I think this would allow you as a group to agree up front that we would allow these based on this certain criteria. And if a school were to approach you, they would need to meet the criteria first. And I think, you know, one of the things that I tried to portray in the information that I provided to several of you is the demand. So right now, there aren't, you know, all of the slots in soccer, for example, are not filled. That's number one. The second piece of information that I received from the commissioner of soccer was that soccer students, the boys students, coming up over the course of the next 4 years is still fairly low. So the numbers will not change on the Hazleton team. And those soccer numbers really are representative of the kids that will end up playing soccer on the Hazleton team. So if you were to look at criteria, I think instead of just turning people down, it would make, I think, most organizations who approached you at least feel as if, you know, they were given an opportunity to present their case. And I think just as in any business arrangement, you need to be able to make your business case. And I tried to make the case that I thought there were openings, there were still opportunities for those students at Marion to be able to participate without taking anybody's spot away. Whether you agreed with that or not, you know, that doesn't matter at this point because you voted. But I think going forward, what my ask would be from this board, and maybe Mr. Barletta can help you to, you know, develop this, is to establish your criteria around this. And I think it will make your lives easier because you're going to continue to get these requests as many school districts across the, you know, the United States and Pennsylvania still have these. So anyway, with that, thank you very much again. I appreciate all of your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Joe, did you want to say something?
Yes, please.
Please take up the podium.
My name's Joe Stanavich, lived in Hazleton since 1949, and I have something that I want to comment about Dr. Butler. I seen him on TV and I liked it. What I saw is 100% true, and I only know what I know is because what he did, meaning he traveled a couple places to different school districts. Fortunately, they consider me to be a traveling man. I've been recently, April in Binghamton. I've been to Delaware. I've been out by Ohio. I've been near, and this is over a period since way before I began to drive. What I'm saying and what I want everybody to know, what he said on TV, this school district and all you executive boards, rumors stink. Number one, he's right. It's the best school district in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, and in Pennsylvania in general. I graduated here 50 years ago, and if they can put up with me in the school district, and Fred Barletta and I rode to many, many basketball games with his dad. Mr. Patron, actually, if it wasn't for others like Jim Chapman, Bruce Live, and my two sons grew up here because of me 30 years ago, and because of all yous and the people before yous took care of everybody they could take care of in his school district. And I can't thank all those back then, and I can't think of any way other than say thank you for all the yous are doing, because it's rumors. They don't realize how good of people they have sitting there, including Dr. Butler, and I hope to meet the future. You know I want to come here another day and meet the future superintendent. And then you think about it, everybody that's my age or close, we have a good town, number one. We have a good school district. The only thing, I mentioned this to Bob Krasanski, the only thing we got to try and figure out for Dr. Dessens, in memory of him, he put 30,000 jobs out there in Humboldt and Valmont, dime a week, and bought everything out there along with other people's that can do. My point I'm trying to get to, if there's a way that we can talk people that are making millions of billions out there, if we will only help. They came here because of this school district, this town is the best of the best. And back in the days of Dr. Dessen, 50 years ago, and Maria, I gave her the DVD and the book on how Can-Do put everything together with there's too many names, Barletta family, the Zola family, and the list goes on. And your dad, Tony, no, I mean his dad.
My dad.
Jimmy.
Isn't your dad Tony?
No, Jimmy.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I graduated with your dad. Jim Chapman, and the list goes on. I videotaped a lot of Bob Krasanski. The best athletes probably in Pennsylvania came out of here. And I'm sorry. Thank you. I needed that.
Thank you.
Because I could have.
Motion to adjourn.
That's pretty hard to follow up. Thank you. Okay, I just want to take a moment, since this will be our last board meeting with Dr. Butler. Mr. John stated it so wonderfully a few weeks ago when we accepted his resignation. Doc, you've been tremendous as a parent, as a board member. You've been phenomenal. I really don't want to see you go. I wish we could delay it a little bit longer because I know I'm going to miss you like crazy. I know our staff's going to miss you like crazy. You've been just a wonderful leader. You've been fair, you've been honest, you've certainly been caring. You brought so many good things with us, so I'm going to miss you. I know we'll stay in touch one way or another, but good luck in your future endeavors, buddy.
I just want to take an opportunity, as I've come to know each of the directors personally, professionally, and you develop a relationship with the directors along the way over the past couple of years, and I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Best of luck.
I know that there were some challenges along the way, but ultimately I felt supported by every single person up here, and I'm so deeply appreciative. Thank you very much.
Best of luck.
Best of luck.
I think Joe has another comment. I'm sorry.
I'll be quick.
Go.
I wanted to go to the podium and I'll be done. You think about it, all of us family-wise never forgot where we came from. The one I want to talk about is NPB, and he started, and Antonio and I are friends a long time. Up there is a room, they gutted it, Joe Madden gutted it, put in computers. I don't know nothing about computers or smart. Push a button, a Penn State girl or guy comes up, you want to learn, she talks both languages like you talk about. And they'll teach you Spanish, they'll teach you Penn State kids, English, whatever you want to learn. And they'll either come to Pippin and do homework with the kids. I don't know how many kids are in there, but a lot. They come after school, Penn State school, and then kids come after school, the school district, busting there, and they're learning both Spanish. And the only thing I know in Spanish, and I want you all to laugh. Good morning. Then I know good day. I don't know nothing anyway. I'm not trying to, but my mother's name, God in Sky. My parents came from Poland and Lithuania. I didn't learn that either. I had a hard time learning Spanish. But I just want to comment, there is a room like that. Put 20, I'm guessing 20 or 30 computers. And it's neat the way you can do that. If you want to learn Spanish, if you want to learn English, it can be done through Joe Mann's MPB. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Dr. Butler, I'll miss you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I want the man up there. Get booted out. Yeah. Get the man up there, Chris. Huh? Get Tony LeMan up here.